Hello and welcome to the Walking Dead podcast. We're going to be doing a spoiler review today, but first let's introduce ourselves. My name's Ryan, and my favourite character from The Walking Dead so far is probably Michonne.
Hello, I'm Megan. I think my favourite character throughout The Walking Dead was probably T-Dog. I know he's a bit of like a throwback now, but he was just so cool, and I loved him when he was in the camper van, and he just really like had his life together, and he was so funny, and I'm very sad that we lost T-Dog. I know it was ages ago, but I'm still not over it.
Hi, my name's Cameron. My favourite character has to be very unoriginally Daryl, because he has a crossbow, and in recent series as we've seen him with an RPG. He blows everything up.
That motorbike though.
Yes, especially the motorbike. I even remember a review that he had, and someone asked why the motorbike attracts loads of zombies, and he said because Daryl don't give a.
He doesn't.
Yeah, he really doesn't.
I'm Paul. Favorite character's probably been Noah. He's sadly missed.
Can we have a like reminder of who Noah is? Because I'm
Noah
really sorry, I
was
can't
the
remember.
guy played by the dude who was in Everybody Hates Chris. He's the orderly at the hospital where Beth showed up in. Who,
Oh yeah! Oh my god, that was really
who
sad.
had one of the most horrific.
That
deaths of
was
the
so
season.
traumatic.
It was horrible.
It
what
was.
happened to him.
Oh god, how could I forget?
Possibly the worst death until yesterday.
Yeah, that's very
I
true.
think so. It was really horrible because I really liked him.
Yeah, definitely up
It's like he
there.
had that one thing going for him. It's like he
Oh.
had the worst death, and they just went.
He,
"Nah."
he was so nice as well.
He was. He really
He
was.
was actually sweet. Like him and Beth would have been quite
Yeah.
nice, but they went and.
It was just his little face, wasn't it, when he was pulled apart?
Oh,
Oh god.
it was lovely.
Memories.
Can you imagine like this flashback and like really nice music in the
Yeah.
background just to have that
Mhm.
scene?
So, season 7 started now. What is everyone's first sort of thoughts on the first jogging episode? Obviously, we've all watched it. We know who's died. So,
Mhm.
again, before anything further happens, this is a spoiler review. We are going to speak about who has died.
You've had your
and
warning.
It's going to be going now. So, tune out now. So, Abraham and Glenn.
What the hell?
I'm not gonna lie, like Abraham, I really don't care. Like I would
Nah.
never really liked him. I just kind of thought he was a bit boring.
I don't think everyone really cared about
His,
his
No.
His story got kind of wrapped up quite quickly.
Yeah.
He went through his stuff, and there wasn't really a whole lot more they could have done with
Yeah.
him.
I mean, if we're gonna go off the comics, he was on limited time anyway.
Oh yeah.
But it just didn't. It didn't get me in the feels, and then my feels weren't prepared for what came
Yeah.
afterwards.
Oh my gosh, the emotions that came from Negan saying, "All right, let's continue." Bash in Glenn's face. I was like,
Can we discuss?
how do I feel?
Like,
Everyone just skipped a beat.
Yeah.
Like, it was like,
it was horrific. But I know this is gonna like probably cause some like really like separated review.
Nah,
Like,
go for it.
do you think it was kind of Daryl's fault?
Yes.
Yay! It
yes.
wasn't just
Well,
me.
Yes.
it's really harsh, and it's sort of like you can understand where Daryl was coming from.
Yeah,
And at least he did have the balls to do it.
true.
Yeah.
But
But-
still.
He, in his defense, he didn't know that him doing that would then lead to.
He had warned him. And
Yeah.
he has
Yes,
repeated
exactly.
that multiple times.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I know it's easy to say this after the fact, and you can believe if you want, but I called both of those deaths at least a month
Yeah.
in advance.
Yeah.
I think it's
Easily.
just sad because obviously last season we thought Glenn was dead for a few episodes, and then
It feels like a waste now.
it does feel like
It does.
It was
It
the
feels like-
fake out is just
Wasted
Yeah.
emotions.
I
just
just
gone.
like
pointless.
I don't know. I feel like every time I close my eyes, I see his eyeball.
Yeah. I think like then one of the main reasons they had to kill him off, and Daryl being kind of the reason for that, is like kind of establishing Negan's character
Yeah.
and how deadly serious
He's
he is
such a
about
badass.
everything.
I mean,
Yes.
he's evil, but he's such a
Oh,
badass.
Yes.
he was the best part of the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
not,
agree.
Not only Rick is going to take him seriously, but the audience is now going to
Yeah.
take him
Well, you could
seriously.
see Rick crumbled. And
Yeah.
you've not
Yeah.
seen that at all.
Yeah.
Like, even from day one, when he had to kill the little girl on that
Yeah.
first scene,
Yeah.
you've never seen Rick.
He was ready
No.
to
Be
take
like
Carl's arm off.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was. He
He's
like
ready to take his own.
Yeah.
Which
Uh-huh.
they should have really done because
That-
that's the comics.
I
sort of
thought
thing,
I
but-
thought he was going to do that,
Yeah.
and he was going to crumble into the pressure and take his own hand
Yeah.
instead of
Mhm.
his son's. But obviously he stopped everything.
I think it
before
says
that.
something about like where Rick's character is going to go from now on. The fact that he did actually pick the axe up and was about to do it, and then Negan was like, no,
he's broken down now.
Yeah.
I mean, you would be, to be fair. Like,
I
give
think
him a bit of due.
anyone would, even the strongest people
Yeah.
would break. Especially, like, I think Negan's that type of really awful person where
Mhm.
he
He was ruthless.
takes someone's weakness, their son, and uses it against them.
Yeah.
And especially from a parent's point of view, like that would absolutely break.
What do you
Mhm.
think he'll do when he finds out about the baby?
I really don't want to know what he'll
Because,
do.
like, there doesn't
Yeah.
seem to be a limit of how far he'll go with it.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, it's when he finds out about the baby, could it get even
Mhm.
worse?
Just so
I'd-
many questions.
I'd like to think he has some kind of humanity in him and wouldn't do anything towards the
You
baby.
say
Yeah.
that, but he treated them like animals.
He did.
dragged Rick in and out of that camper van.
Like-
And, like as you said, Daryl's your favourite character, but he was literally like
Mhm.
a dog in the back
Yeah.
of that.
The thing is, like, when all the horror of that episode was over and they kind of had to, like, wrap it up and everybody was obviously reeling from it, and they said, like, oh, well, let's go back to Alexandria. I forgot that Alexandria was a place because I was like, how
Yeah.
could so much happen? And then they
Yeah.
just kind of, like, how would you even, like, when Carol comes back, what the hell are they going to say? Be like, right, Carol, I feel like you should sit down. Like,
It's like a cup of tea. This is not.
yeah,
I'm-
take a seat, please.
I'm kind of disappointed that. Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed that Negan kind of let them go in that sense. I thought they were gonna
already
like,
got what he needs, though.
yeah,
Yeah.
but letting them go and
Mhm.
kind of plan what they want to do,
Yeah.
even though he has got a message across. It was kind of anticlimactic for me. I thought he was gonna like take them away. And
Yeah.
Drag them back.
Yeah.
Kind of poses the question of, like, when are we going to see Negan again? Is it going to be in the next episode? Is he going to, like...
It is the next episode.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But I just don't know. I don't know. I feel like it was almost wrong for them to go back to Alexandria. Because I feel like... I don't know, I just kind of felt like that storyline was over. And then when they were like, oh, let's just go home. I was like, really?
So the big question now is the character development of the cast and how they're going to deal with all of this.
Oh god.
How do you think Maggie's going to deal with this now?
I
Mine-
really like...
Because she's just lost her husband.
Oh my
She's
god.
ill with the baby,
Mhm.
and my personal view is they can't have two babies in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are they going to do that?
Everyone I've been talking to is saying that they're, in one way or another, they're going to kind of off-screen kill Maggie's baby because
Yeah.
they're not going to get rid of the current one because apparently the show has standards in not killing off babies. But if an unborn,
Well, it's
unseen
children.
baby is being killed off, no one really thinks twice
Yeah.
about it.
I think she'll, like, probably lose the baby in some traumatic way. But
Yeah.
My two thoughts with Maggie, one related to the baby, is firstly, that woman could not walk
Yeah,
at the end of
exactly.
season 6.
Yep.
Last night she's like, I'm walking to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, you've
No.
just seen your husband's head smashed in. That
Yeah.
is not giving you energy or confidence to do anything.
Yeah.
No.
Secondly, I
She's
like
ready
the
for war.
really gruesome idea of the baby.
Is that the rumour?
that it's
And
actually undead inside her and
Yes.
it's going to eat its way out.
Oh,
Yes,
that would
that
be
was what I
awesome.
So good.
But if we're going with that, surely, having watched everything so far, it only takes one bite from a zombie to change you.
Yeah.
If it's going to bite her from the inside, surely she would change and
Yeah.
become a
Yeah.
walker beforehand.
I'd be surprised if they went with that because I know they do go off the comics and that, but in the comics, Glenn's death is kind of the first step to her becoming like a major player. Like
Mhm.
when they reach the kingdom,
Yeah.
she becomes like massively powerful.
I would absolutely love to see Maggie become an absolute badass.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
So
I
far,
don't.
she's really diplomatic, but she
Yeah.
like completely changed after the death. Like she was
Yeah.
ready for war.
It almost like gave her strength, really, didn't it?
Yeah.
It was a bit
She kind of like,
strange.
right, no more of this. We've been picked
Yeah.
on way too much. We need to actually stand up and be one of the
Mhm.
bigger people on the chessboard.
I would love to see her recover, but I don't know. I really don't know if, like, Robert Kirkman's gonna. I don't know. I just can't foresee her, like, in a few episodes' time just dying, because then I think
Nah.
I feel like she's got too much scope to become something totally different,
She
like
really
we've never
could.
seen
You're
her before.
desperate to say something, Paul. What?
what was I going to say? I forgot.
Oh no.
I don't think then she's going to turn into a zombie due to the baby. I think they're going to take the baby out, and in some ridiculous manner, she's going to survive through it. And it's going to be another thing that has happened in her past and kind of gets pushed under the rug, and then she continues on to, as we've just said, to
so it's
be
another character development.
Exactly.
She's lost the baby. She's lost all her family now.
Yeah.
Her husband, and it's not going very well.
It's not good.
One quick thought I did just have is talking about, would they go with like an undead baby and they won't kill a child because of practices and that. Just quickly, there was some debate about whether last night's episode went too far. I'm just intrigued.
I didn't see any point that it went too far.
It was gruesome, but I don't.
Yeah.
I think
some people saying, "Oh, it was the hardest thing I've watched in years."
I
I'm
feel
Ben,
like-
you've not watched much.
No.
Yeah, like
I
in the
think. Sorry, go on.
no, like in the grand scope of things, like my boyfriend was like, it wasn't that bad. I don't get why everyone's
Nah.
like, oh my god. And
Yeah.
if you watch Game of Thrones, we've seen somebody's like
Yeah.
eyes be like gouged out of their
Haven't
sockets
you
before,
seen like
and
willies on there as well?
yeah, like, and it was. I think the reason that I was so like emotional about it all wasn't because of like the blood and the guts, because I think if you don't watch an episode like a TV show called The Walking Dead and expect it to be like butterflies and flowers.
Exactly.
I think the reason why so many people are so shook up about it is because we lost Glenn. Like,
Yep.
sorry, Abraham, but nobody really cares.
Nope. Everyone was
And-
prepared for Abraham to go
Yeah.
at some point,
Yeah.
and quite soon, because
He was
put
packing
himself-
off to leave, wasn't he, in the
Yeah.
couple of episodes before?
yeah, that's it though. He was like doing stupid
Yeah.
risks and all sorts.
Yeah.
Like Glenn's always been. He's done what he's had to,
Yeah.
but he's always been clever and got
Yeah.
away with it.
He's like one of the pillars of the show, but I think like in regards to it going too far and people complaining that it was too gory, I don't think that it was.
I think it's just the characteristic of the actual show within itself.
Yeah.
And as you were saying before, we didn't get emotional because of the gore. You don't, like, even if there is loads of gore, you pay attention to what's
Mhm.
actually happening to the characters
Yeah.
you're in love with.
Mm-hmm.
So even Glenn's eye nearly bulged out of its socket.
Yeah.
We saw that at one point. In the back of our heads we thought, ooh, gross, but in our actual heads we're thinking
Mhm.
he's dead.
Like we've just, I don't know. I really feel like The Walking Dead would have to do something insane for me to
Yeah.
be like, okay, that was too far, because
Yeah.
we've seen some like seriously dark stuff.
Yeah.
And
It
Pe-
was just me playing devil's advocate.
Oh, yeah, I know.
It didn't bother me in the
No.
show, but I think that was getting onto it. Kind of my problem with last night's episode is I didn't care.
Yeah.
I didn't even care about Glenn dying. Like that should have been an emotional moment.
Yeah.
You have no
About the
soul.
line,
Like,
like I will find you, like to Maggie, like Maggie, I will find you. Like that was like
with
I think
one
that's
eye.
one of the best delivered lines.
Yeah.
I didn't
on the
hear
show.
it. I need to rewatch it because I knew that like I'm really bad and I kind of spoiled it for myself, and in hindsight I'm quite glad that I did, because I think if I'd just gone into it blindly and then Glenn died, I think I'd have been like even more traumatized than I actually was. But two things. One, I saw on Twitter everybody saying like, oh my god, it's so emotional that he said that to Maggie. I didn't actually hear it. All I heard was like his like pre-death gurgles and
Yeah.
splodges of his brain.
All I heard was Maggie and something
Yeah.
else, but that was kind of his brain going, oh.
Yeah. And also, after reading like the response on social media, his death scene was over a lot faster than I thought it would be. Like it was kind of
Yeah.
like smack,
Yeah.
eyeball,
Yeah,
smack,
come to
dead.
think of it,
That's
it
it. Like
was.
it was really quite fast.
It was the argument was people were saying what went too far is when Negan kept bashing him and then you literally had his head explode and blood fly.
And then he had like the little bit of like skin on
Yeah.
on
Which I thought was
Lucille.
I find it funny how people are complaining about that, but we've seen zombies rip intestines
Oh, yeah,
out
like,
of
I just-
people's bodies.
I
Yeah.
think people are being.
I think-
So
it's
why
an
is
episode.
But
Mm.
also we've seen a lot we've seen a lot more gory walkers. Like, is everyone saying this because this is a human death
Yeah.
rather
I
than
think-
because we've seen walkers walk around with the half the skull
Yeah,
missing,
And
they-
also like
all sorts.
when Rick was trying to get back in the RV last night and he touched that walker and all the like whatever the hell that like lime green stuff was out of the neck, I could have been ill. Side note, just gotta get out my system. Like if people are complaining about the gore, the thing that made me literally gag last night wasn't the brains, it wasn't the guts, it was Rick's snot bubble.
yes?
I just
Oh,
can't.
yes.
Oh.
Like I can't.
I feel like that definitely went under the radar.
It made
Yeah.
me feel sick.
I was watching that thinking there was not a better take.
No. Definitely no Kleenex
well,
and like
from-
apocalypse is there.
from my point of view, like wanting to make films and everything, like in my personal opinion, that's really really good acting, because it shows that the actor doesn't care about their appearance, and they're actually putting themselves in that situation.
I just can't unsee.
Yeah, I know. I will agree that it was maybe a little bit unnecessary.
Like it would be that case in like real life, though, wouldn't it? Like if you're in the apocalypse, you're not gonna like Instagram filter face tune out your
you haven't got like a pocket full of tissues or something like that to like previously wipe your nose.
That was seriously like some gross stuff.
Yeah. So, like, just for another little thing, what do you think was the best final line? Suck my nuts, or Maggie, I will find you.
Is there any question? Honestly, suck my nuts.
Yeah.
Suck
day,
my
every
nuts.
day.
Like Maggie, I will find you is like poignant and like beautiful, especially like with like the like
amount of time
heaven.
that's been said between them though.
Yeah.
But that's it though. They've said it because they've been split up like
Yeah.
multiple times now, and that's always been what they've
Yeah,
said.
it's kind of like if anybody watches Once Upon a Time, what like Charmin and Snow say, which makes me just want to scream because I'm like, please stop, like it's so embarrassing. But
That's another conversation.
yeah, like to be fair, Suck My Nuts was probably the best.
Yeah, in a way to go out.
Yeah, it's so true
especially
to
with
character.
Negan bashing you in the head.
Yeah.
Suck my nuts is a really good way to go out.
What I liked more about Abraham's one is it wasn't what he said, it's what he did. He doesn't take his own, and he has the peace sign.
Yeah.
up
Yes.
to, Sasha.
Because as I say, that was really again going quite under the radar.
Yeah.
Because as I say, I've not heard. I saw it, but not many other people did.
Yeah.
Obviously because he's smashing it in his head within a few seconds later.
You're not gonna be like, oh, I like your hands.
But again, that was like such a good recall.
I thought that was a really nice moment.
Yeah,
me
as I say,
too.
it was, again, that was doing that was probably like the
Yeah.
Maggie,
Because
I
it
will
allows
find you
him
sort
to
of line.
have his connection, but it also allows him to remain defiant until the very end.
Yeah.
And also Negan wouldn't know.
Yeah.
That's it though. He was he was crumbling inside, even though he exterior was.
And also like with Abraham's character being the way he is, we've never really seen him show a lot of emotion before, I wouldn't say, and that was a nice like final touch to the character because he
It's
still
only
had
the flashback that with his
flashback,
family.
Yeah.
That was it.
he
So-
still had like his like kick-ass like final sentence, final words, but then he had that touch as well, which is nice to show that he's still like he's not just a badass, he is still like a bit of like a little sweetheart, a little ginger sweetheart.
I like how because none of the actors actually knew at the ending of the last series who was going to die, and they released to the public that they all did a death scene.
Yeah, I think that was
And
so clever.
I'm like in the back of my head, I was thinking that yes, they do that purely for the actors, but they actually used it in the episode, which I liked, because that was just kind of adding to Rick's crumbling soul and just all the possibilities.
Actually, more of that. I found it on YouTube this morning. It wasn't like a dodgy edit. Somebody somehow got hold of the footage of the extended version of him killing Maggie, smashing her head in.
I think
I find it interesting.
If
like,
there's
it was never going to happen.
if there's one of them on Maggie, they probably did all of that to everyone else.
I do believe that they weren't going to kill off Glenn originally, and I think it was a late cut or edit to do that, because if you watch the show. So I've watched it twice already because I just was amazed by it the first time that I had no idea what was going on. But if you watch it carefully, that they all the cuts and stuff, even the ones which pan across, very little is with Glenn in shot.
Yeah.
Because obviously the way they shot it, he would have been sitting up and stuff like that, rather than his body on the floor. When they pan up and they just all you see is a blood splash on the floor, and they can get away with that. So that's it though. They must have cut it with everybody dying.
I think it was really clever that they did it. Like even take it out of the show and like the impact that it had on viewers, like to see them all die. They kind of like had their own backs in case anything leaked online, because I just thought it was absolutely genius. Like the fact that they did that. You what?
That's it though. They could if anyone did leak it, they could have gone like, okay, we've got this footage. We'll put it in there.
Easy.
That's
Make that an extra on the Blu-ray.
Yeah, I agree.
That's such an easy thing. People will buy it to see that.
Turn around, it's only Rick and Carl, and it was like.
Can I ask a really twisted question to you all? Who do you wish it had been? I'm gonna go first. Irrelevant girl who I don't even know the name of, who has her really good eyebrows for being in the apocalypse. I'm just gonna say, like, if it had been her, I honestly couldn't have cared less.
No.
Her and Abraham, or I would have missed Eugene a little bit.
I would
but
like.
not loads.
I didn't want Eugene to die because I feel like he's a lot more development score.
I-
And
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
he's
true.
come into
Actually
his own.
clever.
He had his moment, and it's starting to
Yeah.
He started to grow.
Yeah.
I think Aaron.
I like
Yes.
I think Aaron's
Nah,
the
he
only one.
needs to go. He needs
I
to
think
go.
Aaron's the only one so far who was there who could have just been. Yeah, he can go. Abraham can
He's
go.
completely irrelevant
But he's
now.
just
The
so
only
nice.
thing, the only reason he's there is so they have a gay guy in the apocalypse.
To be fair,
Practically,
that,
He is
the representation.
such a nothing character.
He
really
is, but he's just so
That was-
nice.
When people were trying to theorise who it was, someone said that. It's like, oh wait,
Yeah.
Yeah.
nobody would care.
Like, I would have, even though if it had been Rose, she's called Rosa, right?
Rosita.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, this is how, like, she's just, I don't even know who she is. If it had been her in, like, Eugene, I would have been happy because, like, my favourites would have stayed alive, but I think I'd also been a little bit disappointed as well. So even though I am heartbroken about Glenn, it did, if it had been, like, Rosita and, Abraham, I think I would have been like, oh, that was an okay like season premiere, but because it was Glenn, that's what made it like, oh my god, that was awesome.
Do you want to know who I wish it was?
Yes, please.
It's not because I don't like the character, I really do. I wish it had been Daryl.
Do you know what? I kind of get you on that.
Because-
Develop. Why?
Firstly, all of these people are saying, oh, if Daryl ever dies, we stop watching. Well, let's test that theory.
Yeah.
But secondly,
Why would you test it?
But secondly, I think if you... Cause I like Daryl as a character, I do.
Mhm.
But I'm not sure what more can he do story-wise.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot.
Do you feel like because of the way he's such a fan favourite, it kind of makes him safe in a bit of a boring way? Not that
Yeah,
anyone ever is safe,
know.
but
yeah,
you know
but
what
they
I
did
mean.
that.
Like,
they did it to Glenn.
but no, but like I feel like Daryl has such like
I
a
think
cult status
Daryl's
with fans
untouchable, right?
Okay.
that
Yeah.
they're a bit like
Yeah.
scared to do it, and I feel like they
Yeah.
should
Daryl-
kind of just be a bit ballsy.
Daryl's in that same kind of area as Rick and Carl, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like, they're not gonna
I
get
mean, I
killed.
don't. No one likes Carl, so
No.
Carl.
in a
He's-
sense that
He's literally
He is
just there for the
Carl.
protagonist, for Rick.
no, he's
Um,
there to be a meme. Like
He really
Fair
is,
enough.
to be fair.
Carl, you can't do that.
I'd like them to have killed off Daryl because I think it would have resonated with. Imagine if instead of Abraham it was Daryl and Glenn.
Oh my god.
that would have been too much.
It-
I think
Yeah.
that would have been too
I
much.
think-
I would have
for the
been
show.
more angry because
Yeah.
just because of the
The
fact that we've got so many like nothing characters there
The
at the moment.
thing
I feel.
about Glenn and why everyone's attached is because, except for Rick and Carl,
Mhm.
Glenn is the only one who's
Yeah.
been there from like episode 1.
Episode
Yeah,
Barely, but he was in episode 1. He was the one
Oh.
calling the tank.
cozy
Yeah.
in there.
But then obviously Daryl's the one after that, and it's
Mhm.
just generally like it's the people who were with us the longest across this journey that
Yeah.
we're getting the most attached to.
Yeah.
This is why we didn't like Abraham's like, meh. Like
Yeah,
he,
I
he
agree.
Can, he can go, but yeah, we have a bit of time with him, but we're sort
Mhm.
he
We
wasn't.
don't-
never
he
one
wasn't there
which-
long enough for us to gain a connection with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if there was more to do with like the sort of his connection with Rosita and like Sasha, that I think if they'd have made more of a thing out of that love triangle, I think we'd have liked them more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even like Rosita and Sasha, I wouldn't mind if they went.
Yeah, literally, I couldn't care less.
Like
I really couldn't.
like, but then you see Maggie, and she's such a strong
Yeah.
character, and what she's been through all of it, and even
Mhm.
Beth, like she'd been through a lot, like, and that's why everyone was so upset about her
Yeah.
going, is that she battled everything so far, and to
Mhm.
go from something so simple,
Yeah.
and that's calling back quite far. But again, I think that's the problem, is that it's not something they've done wrong,
Yeah.
and that's why they're dying. Like these characters have done their absolute best, and it wasn't enough, and we've still lost them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my view.
I think, like-
like
You go.
I was gonna say, when I saw Glenn get killed off, a part of me literally launched out of my body and said, right, I don't want to watch this anymore.
A lot of
And-
people have said that. I've
yeah.
seen that a lot on social media.
In my opinion, and going off what Paul said, is that if they killed off Daryl, that would have been tons more, and I think I'd be over the edge of actually not watching
Yeah.
The Walking Dead.
I think now, like, looking at the lineup that we have, there aren't many characters there anymore that if/when they die, it'll have that much of an impact on me. Like,
There's still a few for me.
I feel like for me, it's Daryl. I'll be sad, but when they do kill Daryl, and I hope they do, like, I hope it's in like the most amazing way ever. Like, I
Yeah.
hope he doesn't get like a
Stabs
kind of
himself with explosives in
yeah.
front of
Like,
Oh
I
my
hope he
God,
doesn't
yeah.
get a crappy
Hero
like
slope,
Yeah.
shot. Like, I feel like Daryl wouldn't die from a bullet. Like he would just be like,
I think
no,
he'd
too badass for this. I'm sorry.
He'd go his own way out. He wouldn't
There's
get
a song
killed
in
by
there
someone
somewhere.
else. He'd
Doesn't just like fall off a cliff accidentally.
yeah.
Oops. Like I feel like even a walkabout, like I don't know.
He'd fight
Daryl,
it back.
yeah,
If he goes
like,
out like
uh-huh.
T-Dog, if he gets bitten and like
Yeah.
just charges in saving someone, that'd be good.
Daryl deserves like a really awesome death, and I think if Carl died, I'd be like, oh, bit sad, don't really care.
Yeah.
Rick, I'd be like,
I feel sorry for
I don't
Rick
know.
more than
I feel
more than Carl
Rick's
dying.
had a bad time. I'll be sad when Carol dies.
Yeah.
See, I'll be sad when Carol dies. I'll be more sad when Morgan dies.
I agree with that as well. 'Cause again, he's been through so
Yeah.
much.
I really like Morgan. His episode, though,
Yeah.
what season was, where it just focused purely on him.
Yeah.
One of the best the series has ever done.
I really
Morgan
like it.
was Morgan in that whole lineup last night? I don't remember
No.
seeing him. He wasn't, was he? Is he
No.
still with Carol?
Him and
Yeah.
Carol, they've been taken to the kingdom.
See, I'm not sure if it's
When did
my.
At the end of season 6.
Oh my
when
god, I
they
can't remember.
get People on horses wearing armor.
yeah.
Yes. Oh my god.
They're getting taken to the kingdom.
I'm not sure if it's
The
my
kingdom.
opinion, but I don't really care much about what's her name that you just said?
Carol.
Carol.
Yeah, I don't really care.
Carol
Oh, but
was
she's had
amazing.
such character
She-
development.
I
She was
know
on a
she's had
massive
loads
journey.
of. I know she's had loads of character development, but I don't like the character in
Oh,
general.
I really like Carol.
No, I like Carol. a
She's
lot.
like such a strong.
I like
She's so
her.
good.
I don't like what they're doing with her at
Yes,
the moment.
I think that's my opinion.
think
Oh,
that's
like
the
when she
prob-
kind of is she still a
She's
bit
the-
wimpy?
Yeah, but she's
Not
not wimpy.
really.
She's it sounds bad, but she's almost becoming like
A bit of a grandma.
yeah, like
She
she's
makes
losing that edge.
cookies.
Yeah, she needs the edge,
She
doesn't
had
she?
that like she was twisted, but in a
Yeah.
really good way. And I think the zombie attack on or the walker attack on Alexandra, I think that really changed her perspective and everything
Yeah.
because she killed the kid.
Yeah, she did.
Like when he like went a
He
bit
deserved
crazy.
it though.
And I
Yeah.
hated him, but it was because of what like
Had
she,
happened to her.
yeah, like she was telling him like all the awful stuff which was happening, which was happening,
Yeah.
but he wasn't ready and
He was
prepared
just
for
so
it.
like wimpy about it all. God.
So
child.
like, so I think she had to kind of change in that sense.
Yeah. You
But I
agree.
don't agree. But I don't agree with where they're going with it. I think that she really needs to become strong again.
Yeah. Me
I'm
too.
kind of hoping she'll step up and almost be like a mum figure to Maggie now.
Yeah.
And like that's how they go with it because
Yeah.
obviously she's lost Daryl as well. At the moment because he's gone off as a prisoner of war,
Yeah.
like in this sort of perspective.
Mhm.
So like when she comes back, how is she going to deal with it? And I think her and Maggie could be a really good sort of team together
Yeah.
and sort of express that it's not just the men of Rick and Negan and
Yeah.
like the other
Negan's
ones who are like the Hilltop's also another guy and stuff like that, and he like put down Maggie before. Like I say, like the women in this show are extremely strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think again they can up it again.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see like in this season where they take like Rick and Michonne, because I'm still really not on board with the whole Rick and Michonne thing.
That kind of came out completely in left field. Like when it happened, I looked
It's
at
just
my
like,
wife
what?
and
Why?
was like I can understand if it was just a one night thing where they're
Yeah.
letting off some steam.
But
I
not
get
like
that.
I just
But
can't.
I'm not on with Rashawn.
And I know like
I'm
your
not on it.
options.
I'm not on it at all.
Your options are like quite limited in like the apocalypse, and you can't like there's not plenty more fish in the sea. There's really not. But I just it's a pairing that I didn't ever imagine happening. And one of the funniest things in The Walking Dead that happened so far was just Carl's face when he realised he was on the stairs and Jesus was like, your mum and your dad, and he was just like, what? Like, excuse me. Bless him.
That's a character I want back, Jesus.
Yeah,
where did
I,
he go?
I
Did he
really
die?
liked him.
I
No,
think he must be back at Hilltop.
Yeah.
he came in one episode. I was like, this is a character I can get to love and like be almost equal to Daryl-ish. And then they make him disappear
Yeah.
and only make him appear once.
And
or
I
twice
still really
later.
want to find out how he keeps his hair so shiny.
I know, right?
Like-
I think everyone wants to know that secret.
A creator like Pantene.
Yeah. So,
It's just stashed away somewhere.
yeah.
Away from everything we saw in the episode, like the deaths and all that jazz, just as general, what did people actually think? Like,
Of the episode itself.
Taking it back from like all the like characters and everything. Personally, I thought the cinematography
Yeah.
and the way they set it up, like when Negan mentions that about his eyes and stuff, from the first shot, it's all about Rick's eyes and like everything from the first to last, and it's just continuously showing you his eyes. And the acting is amazing. Andrew Lincoln, I cannot explain how amazing that was, because his eyes do change. It sounds strange, but you do look at him so much differently after that episode.
You see the change once Negan says, right, that's what I'm looking for. You look at his face, and then you're like, oh my god.
Isn't he?
Yeah.
It's hope. This is what everything's clung to so far, and it's just disappeared.
Yep, it's all gone for him.
It's just like...
I think Maggie's... When everyone goes back to base camp, and Maggie's going to go up to Rick and say, right, what are we going to do? Like they have done in the past, and Rick's going to go, right, we're going to do this. Then it's going to take maybe a season or at least a couple of episodes for him to actually go, okay, let's change something.
I feel like he's not a lead. I don't know if he could be a leader
That
anymore.
leadership status that he's had through the entire Walking Dead series so far has just been ripped.
It would be nice if you see
him.
somebody else step up to the plate.
Yeah, it would be interesting.
The preview for next week
now?
has
Because
know.
Daryl's
somewhere.
Carol's not there.
Yeah.
Maybe, do you think Maggie would take
I feel like Maggie couldn't even hobble up to
it's not necessarily like her having to walk about and do things
like strategically.
But because obviously in actual leadership places, like in war and stuff, they have a person sitting in a room saying and telling everyone else to do.
What if Eugene does it? What if Eugene's like, this is my time
That would
to shine,
be
guys.
really interesting.
That would be a good twist. I feel like he's a good, like the way Negan does it. He's a very good right-hand man.
Yeah.
And I reckon his ideas about making the armory and starting to develop a future. I think going with that storyline would be great. I don't know how far they're going to go with it now, and will he be destroyed by the fact that he's lost sort of one of the first people he sort of met after Abraham's dead. So going forward, what do we want to see next week and for going forward into this season? Character development and sort of storyline. Where do we think it's going to go now? Because as we said, everything's gone kaput.
Yeah.
So how do you think they can push this forward?
Well, we know the kingdom's coming in, which means King Zeke's going to be there with a tiger.
So excited for the tiger.
That's so cool.
I can't wait for him. I think it's going to be amazing.
In terms of character development, I didn't like last night's episode very much, but I did like how Negan absolutely destroys Rick mentally. He broke him down. I'd quite like to see that continue for a week or two. Just randomly show up at the camp and just belittle him. Really,
peek through the fence.
But he does. Even in the trailer we saw, he actually does come knocking on their door.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Oh my god.
Then Rick actually says in the preview for next week, I'm not in charge anymore, Negan is. So I'd like to see that. Beyond that, I don't know. You know what I really want, and I know it's not going to happen, but this is one of my biggest gripes with last night's episode and with the season 6 finale, is I don't want the mid-season break to end on a cliffhanger.
Probably
No,
will.
neither do I. I feel like they always kind of disappoint with it.
It's not even that.
What was last season's? I really can't remember. It's been a long time.
What, the midpoint?
Yeah.
Was it not the...
Was it the fall of Alexandria?
I think it was the fall when they all came in, because the second half ends with that girl that Rick was into briefly and her annoying kids destroyed.
That was that. I think I did enjoy that, but
I enjoyed it coming back.
Yeah.
But that episode actually because that's just after you find out about Glenn, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just sort of like, oh, Glenn's back, and then it's like, stop.
I feel like
I don't know. There's just so many stuff which they didn't wrap up.
Considering last night was a massive step up for The Walking Dead, in my opinion. I know that you might disagree, Paul.
Everyone's got a
but I
different
feel
thing,
like
so.
they kind of need to kind of throw away the quintessential Walking Dead plan of quite a cliffhangery season, mid-season break. I feel like everything that we've seen before should be thrown out the window now, and we should be back on a new, hella more gruesome. If this season is good, it'll have made me feel like I felt last night with every single episode. And I know that's probably really unrealistic and not going to happen, because they will need some classic boring let's just go and find some supplies episodes. But I really want it to really up its game and make me oh my god.
Because of the swerve last night with 2 people dying, will show that they're not going to do that. I think they're only now, and this is maybe me being cynical, I think they're purely interested in just shocking the fans,
Yeah.
but not actually servicing the fans.
Yeah, that's the thing. They need to like have the shock factor there, but also like
Yeah.
continue the storyline like coherently.
I think they purely did last night because everyone's like, "Oh, who's he going to kill? Who's he going to kill?" So they only did. I think they did a second kill to remain ahead of people again.
Yeah.
And I think they'll do the cliffhanger at episode 8 again, and I think they'll do it again at 16.
But you say about the cliffhangers, and you say about the like them, they've killed off a fan favorite, and they've done all this, and everyone's saying like, "Oh, we won't watch it anymore." But Game of Thrones have done it, and that's huge.
But the difference there is predictability is not always a bad thing, and just because you know something's coming, and just because something is expected, it doesn't mean it's not enjoyable. Spoilers coming for Game of Thrones. Just anyone who's
We've
not
ruined every show you can ever watch.
We're only talking about one.
anyone who's not part of the way into season 4. Sorry.
So like,
When Joffrey died, I knew it was coming, and it was still the best feeling ever.
Yeah, I think the thing is with Game of Thrones, and I know this is like a Walking Dead podcast, not a Game of Thrones one,
But like,
Game of Thrones makes me feel like the feeling of uncertainty that we had before last night's episode of who the hell is it going to be. I feel like that every time with Game of Thrones because you just don't know what George R. R. Martin is going to like be like, oh, guess what, guys? Like, every character in Game of Thrones constantly has that question mark over their head, wreas I feel like what lets The Walking Dead down.
Walking Dead now?
Yes, like
Going forward, if he does that for every episode, there should. But The Walking Dead, there is a risk every episode. Anyone could get bitten.
but I feel like they just wouldn't kill Rick or
If
Daryl.
within the next 3 episodes Rick dies, then
Nah.
I'm on board.
Will you eat your hat?
I'll be fully on board because at that point I'll be like, right, nobody's safe.
Yeah, but then
unpredictability reigns. I'm cool with
who
this.
would the protagonist be then?
That's the thing. They're not going to do it. In Game of
There
Thrones,
has to be a
in Game of
protagonist.
So
Thrones,
that's the way
nobody's
I
safe.
honestly think they should, because every season they have they do multiple storylines. They sort of bridge it out. Like this season, it's very obvious where we're going to go. We've got obviously they've made it the bigger world. They've got the hilltop, they've got the kingdom, they've got Alexandria, and they've got Negan's group. So we've got 4 different sort of storylines to follow with. So taking out Rick, yes, he's been our protagonist from the beginning, but if you take him out, we've still got all these other characters.
This is 7 seasons in though. I think people, even though there's some people which say they don't mind change, everyone with regards to TV shows I think can agree that when something major like that happens, even if it hasn't happened yet and you're trying to think about it, they will not like it.
I think you're probably right. I think they'll play it safe and keep it.
Yeah.
I think, although it would be kind of cool for them to push the boat out and kill Rick, when they eventually end The Walking Dead, I think it would be nice to still have Rick there, because then we can really reflect on his story, and like if they kill Rick right at the end of The Walking Dead, or if he just wakes up from his coma and it's like, it's all a dream. Like, imagine.
That's my theory. That's my theory.
That would be
is
the
that
worst
it's
way.
That it's all a dream.
Laurie's
Oh,
just still there.
No.
I mean,
no.
I hope she just randomly dies.
It would be. I'd be like, if I was Rick, I'd be like, do you know what? I'll just rather go back into my like apocalyptic slumber than be with Laurie.
But if it did turn out that way, what would your opinion be? Would it be the best dream ever or the worst dream ever? Because everyone imagines themselves in a zombie apocalypse, don't they? But he goes through trauma.
You actually know what would be better?
What?
Go really meta, wake up from a coma into a zombie apocalypse.
So it's actually he's prepared for it in a sense.
He does this whole thing and wakes up and there it is. He's
But he'd be like, I totally know what to do.
Yeah.
I have a vision. That would be cool.
That would be
Yeah.
very
And then
funny.
the show is just looped. You could just watch it forever.
It's like Groundhog Day. It's like Groundhog
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That would be great. I'm on board with that.
Even though. So final thoughts. Like, everyone think it was good episode, bad episode.
Didn't like it.
I
Flat.
thought it was good.
I thought it was good.
So 3 against 1.
I'm the other one out.
But you're gonna have people. I say there's gonna be people who watch this who thought the same thing, and everyone people are gonna be like, as you said, Glenn's dead. Don't want to watch this anymore. Can't and just
Yeah.
have that sort of
I just
backs up against
I
it.
just
But
thought it was flat. and a
Should we
bit
make
empty.
like a 5-star rate, and how many walker heads should we give this episode? Take in consideration like Paul's like. not really a fan.
I would give it 2 rotten corpses out of 5.
Right, okay. I'm gonna give it See, I'm really like, I
Yeah.
don't like to give something 5 rotten corpses. Probably about 4.5 rotten corpses
Yeah,
out of 5.
4.5 skulls.
I'm gonna say a solid 4, but I'm gonna take a star away because I'm still annoyed that they killed off Glenn, even though it was really predictable.
Never forget.
And yeah, exactly. I put in my review that would probably be attached to this that unlike my ending paragraph is literally like, he may be gone, but never forgotten, and that's unquoted. That's me being original. It's like it's.
He
no
was
one's
the
gonna
pizza
forget.
boy, and I feel like we just really saw him grow up, and it's just a bit sad. I kind of like, feel like I saw somebody tweet today like, feel like calling in sick to work today because 2 of my family members were like killed by Negan last night. But yeah, I'm gonna give it like, so overall, should we say a good like 4?
I think that's
Rotten
averaged
corpses
out
out
around
of
about
5?
a 4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
4 solid
Okay.
4 stars.
Okay, well, if you have a different review, different point of view on how it is, comment below and let us know like what you think. I think that wraps up this episode.
Yeah.
We'll speak next week about how we think next week's going to go. We think that's going to be with the Kingdom next week.
Yeah.
So
King Zeke's definitely in the trailer.
so
Hopefully the tiger shows up.
next week it's going to be Tiger. Probably going to be 5-star just because there's a tiger. And
Yeah.
Obviously. I really hope like the whole cast of the Jungle Book just comes in at some point.
Just rolls in through
Hello,
the door.
Baloo.
A bowl of bare necessities.
just turned into like
Amazing.
a musical version
Yeah.
of The Walking Dead for an episode.
Okay.
So, I think that's it. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.